Welcome back to part 2 on the 1982 Kawasaki 750 Ltd Keihin carbs. Now before we take the next step, I want to show you something interesting. Let me quickly focus in on the carbs. Nothing has changed since our first video on these carbs, but I want to explain something to you. Here we have, within these carbs, the pilot screws, and of course there's one pilot screw for each carb, so we have 4 in total. Now when these carbs were standing upright, I filled the hole in which the pilot screw is situated, I filled it up with WD-40 and just let it soak in there for a day. And actually a day ago I did the same again. Now normally these holes are plugged, at least for the American version of the 750 and these carbs, and these were not plugged. That means that dirt and residue can get into this hole and really can give an issue when you try to take out these pilot screws. And like I said before, and especially with these pilot screws, you only get one chance to take them out correctly without damaging either the pilot screw or the carb. If you damage the pilot screw, the head, it's very difficult to get this out. So what I did was I soaked them in WD-40, let them stand overnight, did it again, and to my surprise, it was extremely easy to fit in the right screwdriver and just screw out these pilot screws. So that's a good tip. Don't do anything with these until you've soaked them in WD-40 for 1 or 2 days, and they will come out easily afterwards. So that's my tip for the pilot screws. So let's go to the next step. Now that we've been talking about these pilot screws, let's just start, or at least finish with them first. And we have the pilot screw itself. We have a spring located in this carb, a little washer, and an O-ring. So we have 4 parts. So if I carefully unscrew this pilot screw all the way out, we can't go any further, so I should be able to get at the pilot screw and pull it out. Here we have it. And if I look at it closely, I only have the pilot screw, as you can see here. So the spring, the O-ring, and the washer is still located in this carb, so we're going to have to fish those out, so to say. So let's do that now. Well, the first thing I did was hold the carbs upside down and tap them slightly, and now you can see that the spring and the washer have fallen out of the carbs. So we have 3 out of 4 parts. So let's look for the O-ring in the carb. Right, well, with regards to this little O-ring, which was still fixed in the carb here, I used a very small sized drill and very carefully inserted that into the hole, and actually the O-ring just stuck to the drill, as you can see here. Hope it's clear enough. So I'm going to try the same for the next one, in which the ring and the O-ring are still situated. Right, well as was to be expected, you can hardly get anything through this hole all the way down to the O-ring. The pilot screw and the spring and the washer comes out easily because it's metal on metal, and you just have to turn the carb around and tap it on your hand and it will fall out. These little O-rings, because they're rubber, give a little bit more resistance, and they're fixed all the way in to the carb. So the only way I was able to get them out was to bend a paper clip. First I made a hook. That doesn't work. So if you do it just like this, you're able to get in between the O-ring and scrape it out of the, carefully of course, out of the carb. So we got all 4 O-rings out. I'll put them all away, and we're going to be using new O-rings when we put it back together. So let's take it to the next step. Well, as you can see, I just ruined one of the jets. But even doing so, I was glad to be able to get hold of it and at least get it out of the carb. So I ruined one of the jets, too bad. And I also broke one of the plugs, as you can see here. So that's why it's always good to have a number of spares. I have enough of them, so that should be okay. With regards to the plugs, like I mentioned before, they are plastic. I just put this back in for reference. And the best thing to have is a set of pliers that is bent like this one here. So you can actually get in between and then pull it out. That's the only way to do it correctly, because another set of pliers will damage the top of the plug. Just a little tip for you. So let me put that back into, there we are. So we've taken everything out, and now we're going to take off the floats. With regards to taking out the floats, we have a pin which you can easily press out, as you can see here. It moves easily from side to side. And then you can, after the pin is out, let me do that first. Quickly get my pliers. Oh, it's on the other side now. You see you can pull the pin out. It's very easy to do. Let me put that away. And very carefully pull up the float, and it includes, as you can see, let me get it a better angle. It's still hanging onto the float. Here we have it. Here it is. And what you see there is actually the float valve. And this little float valve, look very carefully how it's positioned onto the float itself, and it easily comes off. So it just fell into my hands. So don't lose the float valve. And that's all there's to it. So we'll put this away. There we go. And take off the other three. Now before I forget, we still need to punch out these main jet bleed pipes, as they're called. We've taken out all the jets. There are 4 of them, of course, also. And you can get at those on the other side of the carbs. Let me see if I can get a good angle. As you can see, all the way down there, it's protruding a little bit. It's the beneath, it's the lower of the two that you're looking at. And it's protruding out a little bit, so if you do it with a non-sharp object, you push the non-sharp object onto that protruding piece here and press it down, and it will just fall through on the other side. So the protruding part, not in the center, but it's off center, that one you need, press it down and it will drop through on the other side. Well, now we have a reasonable bare set of carbs. Everything came out. So the next thing we're going to do in the next video is take off all the brackets and the interlinking joints, and I'll show you how we take the whole carb apart. That makes it really easy to get in between everything and clean everything thoroughly. So next video we'll take the carbs apart, and the next step after that will be cleaning the carbs, and of course cleaning all the jets, and eventually putting it all back together again. Look forward to the next video. Thanks for watching.